Okay, so I was talking to Bobby, and I want to review a little bit because when you think about the conditions and what happened, it's just unbelievable. So they're rounded up. They go into a cattle car, squeezed in tight, no food, no water, no toilet, no nothing. They don't know how many days they travel. They were together as a unit. Um, what they did for 4 days or 6 days or 3 days, I don't even know. I just can't imagine. And then, so the grandfather looked outside and he realized that they were going to a prison because he saw the stripes. And that's when he said Shema Yisrael. And they got there at night, he said all the
Yes,
time.
everything happened at night.
At night, I guess, to make you even more terrified, and and screaming and yelling, you don't talk to anybody.
Right.
And then I guess this side and that side and this side and that side.
Links and rechts.
Yeah,
Right
links.
and left.
Right. Again, we had taken this trip to Poland as a tour, and when we arrived to Auschwitz, our guide wanted us to experience that same kind of a feeling, and every one of us went links, right, the wrong way. It doesn't matter which way was the wrong way.
Which one?
It said we would be in the death side.
I mean the younger people?
No, in other words, my age people.
You would be on the left.
I would be on the left, and he kept going left, 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 and it just didn't dawn on me that I was that old, that I would go left. Anyway, they got there, and then Bobby Helen described how they had their heads shaved, and then they couldn't recognize anybody. Right. It was just by the voice, and terrified because there were hundreds and hundreds of people, and the idea was to stay together, and they couldn't find each other.
That's right. I mean, we couldn't recognize each other, so we just called our names out in order to be close.
Right. So Feige Helen Rifchu, Feige Helen Rifchu, until you found each other.
We stuck together. We should be able to be together because otherwise we wouldn't
survive.
No, we just couldn't know who we are because without.
And then they would take those people and put them together in a
one block.
In one block, like
1,000,
right. So that if you didn't go together, then you would never find that person again. Right. So if you lost that person in that little beginning,
right,
then there's no way you would ever find her again.
No.
So they got to the barrack, which was 1,000 people.
Right.
And like you said, it was 2 folding tables, and that's 12 people sat on that.
Yeah.
And 1,000 people in there. And so.
And with the way they give us food is like in one pot. And with no spoons or forks or anything. It was very liquidy. And the beginning, you was so used to have kosher, right?
Yeah.
So whatever was swimming in there, we thought it's not kosher, so we didn't even dare to swallow that. With just the liquid, because we didn't know what is that.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody just put to mouth a zip, and then to give it over. That was our one day of food, and then they gave us, I think, also a slice of bread on the daily, but not too much. You see how much people were. But between that, I want to put together something that where the same thing is for the men's side, right? They were separate in another block, another side of the camp, and that Marcy told us that. They also had 1,000 men, and across the other side, he saw there is, and also 1,000 men in the Zelapel, and 5 per 5 lined up, and then he thought that he saw there is more Munkacher on the other side, and Marzi, he was trying to put himself on the other side because he figured he wants to be between the Munkacher people.
Between people he knows.
From where he went out, from that side, there was his father. My father was there.
Oh, you see. Oh.
And he did not, between 1,000 people, he did not know that he has his father there.
Oh.
So, after the war, he just found out that, and he helped those he had there. He mentioned those people who lived on our block. And you passed that house anyway, and he helped them, carried him on his back, and he survived. Otherwise, he would be able to carry his father on his back to survive. And he went out, changed, and he did not know
that he left the barrack where his
that
father.
So that's how it was impossible to find each other,
to recognize
it, find each other, because you didn't have not the same clothes, and they crowded, and he was confused, and so So that's what happened with Marcy and our father. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but that's the reason that we were always stick together very, very close. And then there was also that we heard that the head of the Auschwitz is Mengele. He was a doctor, and he was trying to do all kind of experiments, and his idea was just to separate the sisters. So once he knew that some were sisters, the first thing he separated them. So we did not play that we are sisters. We did not say it. And, over there we did not look like sisters.
Right.
So that was our luck. But otherwise his goal was just to separate the sister, to put more pain to the family.
Oh, that was interesting. But, right, so so you talked about like the first days. So what did you think, that this was the end? I mean, you spoke before that you saw the wire and you had a good life.
Right. So that's what it is. We never thought that we're going to go, we just gone out. That's our goal. That's what we're going to finish our life.
Mm-hmm.
So we had no choice. We just wandering around from here and there, and that was we suffering like animals, not like human beings. We were treated not like animals. So you didn't know when it's Monday or when it's holiday or nothing. I mean, you just was a number. And every time we have to make the sale up there to count us. So I don't know what they were doing to count us, how many.
Well, just torture to count you. Stand there and all kinds of weather and to count.
Right. And that was a couple of months. We got there, I think, in May, Shavuos time. And I think in September, according, to somehow calculation, came a group of civilians.
What did you do from May to September?
Just wandering around and going nothing. It was nothing. That you didn't work. You didn't do anything. So one day, we were in that camp in the Zee lager. See. We were 30,000.
Yoni and I have a picture. The bunk itself,
the 13,
is not standing, but there's like a granite pole, a block that says 13C.
Was not. The C is the whole
section.
The whole section.
Right. So
there was 30,000 women in that Zee lager.
Right.
So one day came out an order that all the 30,000 women should sit, lined up and kneel down. Kneel down. So we were kneel down, and that we were like that. Olga's mother was with us, and we three that we made up 5. So we always was together 5.
Okay.
We didn't have to change with the other girls. So I was, Lenkarini was the first, and I was the last. So, and they put up in the front of the barrack some, that was 2 belters. That means they were helpers for the black artist, who was in charge of the whole barrack of us, of the 1,000 girls. So she, came out about 3-4 civilians, and then was the SS woman with the dog and then Mengele and all, and they were selecting. They went by unit to unit. So when it came to us, so whoever they picked out, they put to stand in the front of the barrack, and in order these girls should watch them. So how lucky I was, they picked me out.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to go in the front, and there was a girl from Munkach, her name was Goldie, and I said, Hanka, and I said to her, Hanka, don't look, let me go back to my sisters.
So Hanka was one of the guards?
One of the guards, yeah.
So she was a girl from Munkach that
Yeah.
they made a guard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I told her, please don't look, let me go back to my sisters. The Germans would know who I am, they wouldn't recognize me, I was just a number.
Right.
So she told me, what you think, you are a Munkach?
Mm-hmm.
You know, she gave me back and she gave me over to the SS woman.
Oh, God.
And I was standing
So
there.
she reported you?
She reported me, and then the SS woman came and she beat me up. Blood came from my face from all of the sides. But what I did, that I took Rifchu and Feige next to me because they said what's going to be with one, it's going to be with three.
Uh-huh.
So we shouldn't be divided. See, she didn't see, and I schlepped my two sisters next to me. So after that, when the whole job was done for the whole selection, so they...
How long did that take, do you know?
A couple hours probably, and then next block of it was another lager. Ours was C, and that was a B.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we didn't know just when we got there.
Right.
So we were 300 girls that they selected from the whole 30,000.
300 from 30,000?
From 30,000, and they took us and the 300 girls to the B lager.
Okay.
Camp. Lager is a camp. And they took us again in, like here, you know, in a barrack, but they building it, so there were no electric wires yet, and was no...
So you're still in Auschwitz? You were in a
Sure,
different
it's
section?
still, no, in a different
section.
Yeah, in a B.
Okay.
And there was no, like tables, or beds, like you call it, whatever they call it, to sleep. We just had on the floor. And the floor was just earth. There was no cement yet, nothing, because they were middle of construction, doing it. Dirt. So we were there about 4 weeks, wandering again around.
Doing
nothing. And I believe that somehow, wherever I went, I was able to do something that God was with us.
Wait, let me just say, so for now, so tell me, did you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yes, so forth, in a hotel, not in the Auschwitz. No.
Okay, so that same soup that everybody took a sip from?
Yeah.
And that same piece of bread?
That's it. No.
And that was for the whole day?
That was for the whole day. But in the B lager, as we got there, and we was just, wandering around, comes to me a boy, probably, I don't know, he was there maybe a longer time, and he told me, go in that and that block, and I meet you there, and I bring you food. So we went I took, 3 of us, we went there, and he brought a pot of food, and naturally we were eating it.
So he just found you
from
the construction?
From nothing, from nowhere. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I never saw him. I don't know what, but he brought us food. And he said the same time, come tomorrow, and I bring it again.
So again, you went 3
and
of you?
Again, yeah.
Was anybody watching you when you...
I don't know. I was just
so hungry.
hungry. I didn't care. And that's what happened a few times, and then he disappeared.
And that was it?
That was it.
So you stayed there, you ate, and you went back to the...
on the opening, and we were wandering, and that's what happened. Now, after that, but...
Did you ever see him again?
No. I wouldn't reckon, no. And then, because of that barrack, nothing was built up, and it was like big windows, very low.
Yeah.
And now, after 4 weeks, came the same civilians, that the people who select us, and it was again in the middle of the night, and in front as you come into the block, there was a table, and those people were sitting, and they told us to go naked out through the front and stay in line there, line up. But, the condition, the way we were sleeping on the floor and that, and not showering every day that you're supposed to, so we got Pampers.
Mhm.
So they were looking if your body is still able to go to work. So what do I do now? I was thinking, what do I do now?
So pimple, some kind of rash?
It's a rash, but the rash is then they not taking you. They wouldn't take you. So Feige
Wait,
had.
so you felt that this selection was for something better?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't know where we would go now. We didn't
Right.
had no idea. But definitely, if you had the rash, you didn't pass. So what could I do that Christian Feige shouldn't go through? I was not worried about myself. So I looked around and I saw that the line is behind the window, but it's dark outside. So I told Rivka and Feige, listen, I'm going to stay inside and I'm going to open slowly the window. You're going to step out. You stay out there like make believe you went through the front.
Like you passed already.
Like you passed already. I'm closing down the window. Otherwise, if they caught me, then they were shooting me or whatever. So I did that and I went through and we were three again together.
So you risked your life again?
Again.
I mean, immediately.
Immediately. Yeah. And then we wind up.
So now what? It's September?
Around. I mean, I just guessing. Could be October, but not before, because you're talking May, June, July was probably in Auschwitz. And that was still in Auschwitz.
So now you're in this B lager.
And now I was in the B lager.
Right.
Now that's happened in the B lager. From the B lager, I think a couple of days later, they put us on the train and we went and we wind up in Weisswasser.
Which is?
It is, again, not a wire, not a concentration camp. It's a camp that we had to work as slaves,
wait, I just want to review some questions before we go on.
Yeah.
So in the discussion, we spoke a little bit about all of these answers.
Yes.
So you said, were you able to wash and go to the bathroom?
The bathrooms we went, but
they everybody took it at the same time, or
no? I mean, you were free to walk around.
You just didn't have any place.
No, I didn't have no other interest.
And then were people depressed? Of course.
Sure.
So they just what'd you talk about? Just
who knows? Who remembers? Probably about food.
Food, yeah. Was there any chance that you would ever think to escape?
There's nowhere to escape. I mean, we saw people when we woke up the first day in Auschwitz. We saw dead people around by the wire, so we didn't know about that by the fence. And then they told us, don't go close because that's electric wire. So whoever didn't know before, they touched it and they were full of dead people till they took them away.
Okay, so you're now on this train. So you said 300-400 people were selected from
300. 300. We got 300 girls.
Okay, and then they put you on a train to go to Weisswasser.
We didn't know where. After that, we know, and that was the same guy who was in Auschwitz selecting us. Two of them were there in the factory. They were the head of the factory where we were working. So actually, they knew
what they were looking for.
They knew what the condition is in Auschwitz, and where we got. It's a long way the way we changed for. That was completely in one room. In the barrack was rooms, and in each room was 8 girls sleeping instead of 1,000. And then was also that they were cooking for us, and then when we came home from work, then we had cooked food. That means they gave us regular food, but we were working like in a chain work.
I mean, like you said,
that is comparing to Auschwitz and the factory we were working
Right.
in Auschwitz, like you go to a rehab or to a sanatorium or
Yeah,
a
five-star hotel.
five-star hotel, comparing.
So this was really
I mean, we
Hashem's
had
hand,
SS
probably.
SS women watch us because we was always going by foot from the camp to the factory. So they were watching us, and the size was.
Why do you think like out of 1,000 people or 30,000 people, and they selected 300 people?
Because they didn't need more.
I know, but what made them? What made them select who they selected? Do you have any idea?
No, it's just luck.
Just luck.
I mean, no, like you're talking to people like. I know Nurit's mother. I mean, she was working in the forest and she was carrying big trees on her shoulders and things. So much worse conditions, or they factories where they made all this ammunitions and all the things. There was much worse places,
It was really Hashem's hand that you.
So that's what. Yes, yeah, definitely. So it was. It was chain work. We did little lamps in the airplanes, and we
piecework.
Piecework, not piecework. It's chain. Somebody started, and I was the end.
Oh, assembly line.
Assembly line, probably. Yeah.
So wait. Let's just back up. So the conditions where you slept and ate were better. You said 8 girls
much
in
better,
a
sure.
thing. You had food.
Yes.
And did they give you showering?
Sure,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. And our hair grew up, grew back a little bit, so you looked a little bit more normal.
More human.
More human, and we were treated, not, there was also the Wehrmacht, there was not SS, the regular soldiers. And they were also, on the side, they came watching us. Some soldiers with a machine gun on them, for sure. But that was completely different. There was no crematorium, we didn't see dead people around all over where
so it was really a factory camp, a work camp?
Yes, yes.
So you made airplane parts, you said?
Yeah, they made wire together, they made assembly wire, but the girls, one girl was also from our neighborhood, from Munkac, and then she was starting the work, and I was the last one. So when I had to finish in a day what she was producing. So I was.
How many people were on the assembly line?
All the 300 girls worked in that factory.
No, but in one line was 5 or
in the assembly line. I don't know. I didn't look.
Oh, you were just at the end.
There was tables that they worked for.
Okay.
And each one had also sometimes German girls from the civilians, from the city or whatever was vice versa. So what happened was that I was the controller on the machine if it works or not working, or if it's proper. So I could not go faster just the way the machine was turning.
Right.
So I had to finish what she started. So I was there always 2-3 hours longer, and then an SS woman stayed with me, and she walked me home. So my back was hurting for so much sitting. So I told her one night in the room, I said, "You crazy, you're producing so much for the Germans, and look, my back is killing me, so don't." So she, the smart girl, told the German girl that she's sitting next to her, and the German girl said to the SS head of the Lagerorchester, and she was like a Hitler, so very bad. So she comes in, the same day comes in the factory, and she was yelling, "Drei Geschwister Sabotage hängen, drei Geschwister Sabotage hängen." That means we were sabotaging. They knew that we had 3 sisters, and we were sabotaging. We have to be hanged. So what happened is this guy from the factory, that he was in Auschwitz, so he threw her out from the factory.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He said if he doesn't want to see her again, and if she does that, then the whole factory can close down.
Wow.
So that's how he saved us. And this same guy who was in Auschwitz, the civilian. So, but I was also like working, and at the same time I was crying also. What's going to be the end of that? So he he brought me sometimes on the machine. He put down some food for me I should take home, and he told in Germany that I shouldn't worry because the front is coming closer. The war is closing in, so I'll be free. So it happened.
So when was that? When did
That was about in February.
So let's say you were in Weißwasser.
About till February.
So a couple of months.
A couple of months, yeah, in the same factory. Then the front came really close.
Wait, let me just say. So was my mother and Rifchu on the same table?
Sure. No, where at the table to work now?
Yeah,
she was somewhere in behind me. Yeah, I was in a different section, but we went in the morning together, and they went separate home. Not every day I stayed later, but whenever I had to stay late, they went together home, and then I met them in the room.
So my mother told a story that she felt that I don't know whether it was in Auschwitz or in Weißwasser, and they had this piece of bread.
Yeah.
That they're going to die, they're going to starve.
That's
so
a
just
different
give
story.
me this bread.
No, that's a different
So
story.
Tell me the story.
That's what I wanted to tell you, to continue that from Weißwasser, we had to go, and they took us to Horneburg. I mean, there's a sister company for that company. They do the same manufacturing. Okay. So we stayed there, and then again the front get closer to the end. You know, the war moved the soldiers. So we were in the train, but before we went to the train, they gave us for everybody a loaf of bread on the way. From where I had the knife, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. Probably from Weißwasser, because over there they gave us from regular plates to eat, a regular spoon. So probably I got the knife from there, and then we had to stop in Hamburg, and then Hamburg was the enemy was bombarding Hamburg, the Germany. And then the soldiers and the SS women, they all went out from the train, and they were laying there in the
ditch?
In the ditch, because we saw the bombs are flying at night, and our trains were shaking. So then Rifchu said, Helen, because I was always giving out the slices of bread, so for Rifchu I gave always double, because she was the skinniest and the youngest. So she said, let's eat up the bread, because we're going to die anyway from the bombs.
Right.
So that was the story of the bread.
That was Rifchu? I thought it was my mother.
I thought your mother, Rifchu, yeah.
So you tiled out the bread. No, but did you do that all the time?
All the time. No, all the time.
Right.
Rifchu got the doubles.
But that's probably what kept everybody alive every day.
Every day.
Otherwise, they would have just eaten the bread and not had anything the rest of the day, and then they would have chalished.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we said that. Yeah. So from there we went from Hamburg. That was already towards end of the war or what. So they after they stopped bombing, so they took us out, and we slept over at some kind of school that probably were close already to Bergen-Belsen. I don't know how.
You didn't know where you were going?
No, we did not. Never we knew where we're going. So from there, where we slept over, we marched a long time, and then
you left Weißwasser. You
got in Horneburg. We were working still
to another place.
To Horneburg,
another
the factory. Right.
And then you left Horneburg.
And then from Horneburg they put us to Hamburg. I mean, we stopped in Hamburg. They probably wanted to send us straight to wherever the destination was, but the train had to stop because of the bombs. Right. Oh. So then we went out, and we slept over in a school or somewhere after marching from that Hamburg place, and then they put us. We didn't know where we're going, and the SS women, we saw that they taking over their uniforms. Under the uniforms, they had their civil clothes. So then about no more SS because they knew that they captured, and then we wind up in Bergen-Belsen. That was April 1st. How I know it's April 1st because we were liberated in April 15, and we were there 2 weeks. So that's the
April 1st.
April 1st.
And what's Bergen-Belsen?
Bergen-Belsen is another death camp.
Right.
But it's worse than Auschwitz because in Auschwitz, at least as bad as it is, and it's sad as it is, once you died, they put you in a crematorium.
Right.
Or they killed you, they put you in a trailer, whatever. But in Bergen-Belsen, they didn't have a crematorium, and they had the mountains of dead people.
Oh, God.
So all the smell and all that, wherever, which way you turned, you saw the mountains of dead people. And who was the dead people? Skin, bones and skin. Skin and bones.
So, but now, you got there the last 2 weeks, but the people that were there were just there and
they were
waiting to die.
Waiting to die. They looked like and there was one episode again in Bergen-Belsen that they put us in a barrack again, and then we didn't have nothing. They gave us some bread. After that, we found out that the bread they didn't know how to get rid of the people, how to kill them, because they didn't have a crematorium. So after that, that we liberated, we found out that they put already in the bread poison.
Oh my God.
In order so our inside, the stomach was already eaten. So, but as we came in, we were much better off from the people were there. Right. So there was, besides that was the mountain of the dead people, was also a pool with water full of dead people there. So and then they said, if somebody wants water, they put, like you see, like you put a little horse and wagon with the 2 wheels.
Yeah.
So on that they put big 2 containers, and he said, whoever gonna carry those containers, they're gonna get water. So what I did, I said, I'm going to schlep that water. So Rivcho and Feige are always left in the side, and I was schlepping it like instead of horses, right? I was pulling it, and then I had a girl. She was a nurse in Monkac, and she was engaged. She was working in a dentist office that I knew her very well, and she was in a very bad condition, and she had just a blanket over her, and she had a little how should I sell it? A cup on the finger, and she recognized me. Oh. And she said, Helen, give me a little water. So I took her cup and I dipped it in the container and gave her the water. But the couple did. The couple first gave me a flick with his hand on my side, on my head, and he just touched her with his finger, and pushed her in that pool. Oh, finished. God. I had to see that. Oh, God. So what happened after the war, when I got to Munkac, she was engaged, and I knew to who. And I know to who. And I met him after the war in Munkac. And I told him, don't wait for her, because she's never going to come back. So that kind of stories you can have experience in your life when you're 18.
18.
Yeah.
Wow. So
there we were 14 days till April 15, and over there we were liberated. The British came. But we were very good friends when we were in Weisswasser. We got a group of girls that we always were together, between the 300, about 10 or 12 girls, because we were 8 in another room. So they were 3 sisters. They were and they were from Pressburg. They spoke perfect German, So the oldest, she was married before the war. She spoke perfect German. So she was the Blockerteste for the SS woman. That means what the SS woman told her, she gave us over. That means she was a helper for that. She was wonderful. She's a religious woman from home. And the middle sister was Dori. She was a beautiful, tall girl. She must be like 5 years age. And she was working in the kitchen there in Weisswasser. Mm-hmm. So she was doing it that make sure that there was there a couple of young girls between the 300s that were about 14 years old, that they should get double whatever came out from the kitchen. And the youngest was Rosie. She was sleeping with us in the room. So between the three, that was it. So when we were, and all the time we stick together, on the day of liberation, in April 15, we heard a big commotion, and then people ran out, and what kind of smarty they had white, and they said that a tankers or a truck comes through, but they have gates that I never knew from one camp to another. There were a lot of men also. I don't know how big was that camp. Mm-hmm. And so what the British did, the big mistake, is that they put one SS on the step of the truck, that he should show them how to go through the camp. He should guide them how to go through, and made them know that we are liberated. So what the SS did, he they didn't take out his handgun, and from anger he saw that everybody is so happy and dancing and that, so he gave a shot, and he shot that Dory in her heart. And she was in the best condition from all of us. She was and she was such a tzedekah because she helped to survive for the young girls. So right away she dropped dead there, and they throw her on the mountain like the rest of them. Yeah. So after that, the British, what they did, they put out big containers, and they put powdered milk, and they thought that they're doing the best thing what they can, and they gave us biscuits, right? What they had. So what happened was, nobody knew. Everybody was happy that they're getting milk, right? But everything was dry inside our stomachs. So a lot of people got right away diarrhea. So people just plain turned over. They couldn't exist. Here comes the ambulances didn't come so fast because everybody was sick. So before the ambulance come, they died in every piece of land they were laying down. So here, what do I do? Rifchu is sick, 5 years sick. What we do? So ambulance is not coming. You couldn't have called them. You had to wait. So the
ambulance was going to come and take you to the hospital.
To the hospitals, but they did. And also after that, we didn't know that because looks like later on the Sweden came and other countries, the Red Cross came, that we didn't know that
at the time.
So
in other words, the idea was help yourself because you don't know what's going to happen.
So I know that in front of us people just falling and dying. So a block, like compare like a block from my house, was the headquarters from the British.
Like a city block.
Like here, yeah. And then a guard was marching up and down with his gun to watch the compound. So I said to Rivcho and Feige, listen, we're going to have to go to that compound headquarters
to get help.
So I was schlepping both of them, but I have to watch that when the soldier went further, and then I figured it out, and we ran in, and we all fell at the floor.
Collapsed.
So whoever was there by the desk said, Herrgott, what's going on here? So I said, listen, we are 3 sisters, and we have to help. So he snapped his finger, and it came an ambulance. but he took off our clothes not to go in the ambulance with that clothes.
With the infected clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he took us in, and we have no idea where we went. And we were on the floor. And
so you got to the hospital.
We got to the hospital.
Right.
And then I wound up in a room with 3 beds. And then I didn't see Rifchu, I didn't see Feige. So I ran out from the floor, from the room, looking in each room, and a nurse says in Germany, here is eine Verrückte, that here comes a crazy one, that running naked. But I didn't care. I found Rifchu crying, so I took her from her bed and took her to my room. Then I ran again out to look for Feige. So the nurse wrote me, the Verrückte ist schon wieder here. I'm again here. So I found Feige and took her into my bed, and we're sitting 3 on the bed. The doctor comes in, and I said to him, listen, we are 3 sisters. Hitler didn't separate us, and we're not going to go separate in the room. So what he did, he sent those other beds, those in another room, and he gave us 3 of us in the same room. So I saw that they don't, and I had typhus, and but the energy that I wanted to go through, that probably kept me going. And then I saw that they in bed already, both of them and me. So I don't know how long I was in a coma. They call it now a coma, but I did not know about myself. So when I opened my eyes, I have no idea how long was it. I opened my eyes, and here I see a white coat with a German uniform.
Oh my God.
So I said, the minute I started, I'm again in the concentration camp, a minute, wait up. So they explained to me that he is captured as a German doctor, and he's working under the British. So he's okay.
Wow.
And he really was a very good doctor, took care of us, and we were there, I don't know how long, in the hospital. After a while, we went back to the barrack where we came from.
So let's say, a week?
No. Probably a month or 2 for sure.
Oh.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they took us back to the same barrack, and what is it? All the girls that I knew are there.
So I'm sorry. So you stayed in this hospital a month?
A month or 2,
whatever.
I don't know.
And then they took you back to Bergen-Belsen?
That wasn't Bergen-Belsen. The whole story is in Bergen-Belsen. No, but the hospital also.
Was Bergen-Belsen?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, so then you left the hospital and you went back to the barrack?
Yeah, because that was still Bergen-Belsen. I mean, it's still just, was still, I went back to Bergen-Belsen where I came from, to the hospital.
Okay.
Because I was already in a good condition that they discharged us.
Okay.
Yeah, and we went there, and there already was the joint, the Jewish organization or whatever, gave already out clothes for the people there. So, and then also was already made a soup kitchen. While we were in the hospital, when we came back, it was already like a setup that was already given regular food for the people. But again, we were the same girls together that we were in the factory.
Right.
We met again. So that was that Lagerartester, that that from Pressburg, 2 of them. But Rivchu was very weak. So one of the girls gave me a watch. She was from Budapest. She was working with us in between the 300 of us. She gave me a watch, okay? And then Rivchu was very hungry. So I went to the kitchen, there where it was the kitchen, and I said, I give you the watch, give me some food for my sister. So
in other words, give me some extra food.
So extra food, yes.
Right.
So one boy said, we don't need a watch, we need you. And I didn't understand. I started to cry, So over there, but then, by then, before I went to the kitchen, when I went back to the barrack, everybody had like a little flag, the Czech or Hungarian or Romanian or Russian, everybody had that. So there, and I had that, I am from a Czech flag on me. and there in the kitchen was behind a very tall boy, and he had a cap, and on the cap he had a Czech flag. So he asked me in which Czech language, in which barak I am. So I told him the number.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it comes the same day or a day later. He came with a bag, like by the bakery, they bring you the food in the big bags,
Mhm.
and he bring bag like that high with food for everybody.
Oh wow!
And
Is this the same boy that?
no,
No, it's a different one.
that's somebody I
No.
never know.
No. Originally, he said, "I don't need your watch. I need you."
No,
No,
This
somebody else.
I don't. I didn't look the faces. I didn't
Uh-huh.
look the faces. He just asked me this guy, who is where I am. I told him, and he continued to bring food all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he's from Persian and not a Jewish boy.
Oh,
He's not
Pilsen is a nearby town.
No, he's in Czechoslovakia. The beer that Alex is drinking is
Pilsen.
Persian.
Okay.
It's a very famous city. So he came all the time. And then he started, to talk serious. Listen, you are three sisters. We can go to Pilsen, and then he has a mother, and it's gonna be okay. So I told this other uncle, that's from
Your friend.
yeah, she's my mother because she was married before. She was 42.
Oh.
She was 42 years old. I looked at her like she was our mother. And she was a religious woman. So I said, "Oh, uncle, I don't want any more food." He said, "Listen, Helen, you don't worry. I'm watching you, but you helping so many girls here.
Mhm.
They have so much food. You don't have to worry. I'm with you." All right. So I continued. And then
you wanted to marry you, or whatever.
Well, he didn't say where. We could go to his mother because nobody had where to go.
Uh-huh.
So he meant well,
Mhm.
But when once I found out that he's not Jewish, I didn't want even talk to him. So our uncle said, "Don't worry, everything is going to be okay." So it came a time that we want to go home.
You want to leave.
Want to leave home. Where we want to go to Prague.
At this point, people were leaving.
I mean, after a couple of months, that you had already some clothes and you got a little energy, and then you were talking how to go home. I know the stories now. They're telling me some people went on top of the railroad, and that's how they went home. And they went from town to town. I mean, we didn't know where to go, how to go. So we wanted to go with the, home. So where is the first stop? To Prague. So I said to Oracle, "Listen, I'm not going
with this guy."
with this." So she said, "Listen, in Prague, the railroad is so gigantic that don't worry." So she had a plan, but she didn't tell me what. So everybody had a little shopping bag with a little schmattes because what the joint gave us, and we headed to Prague. By the station, that we were already in Prague, right? The separate was the woman school and the men. The government, everybody who arrived to Prague got 50 crown. That like make $50. Like nobody had a penny.
So you went with this guy?
To Prague.
Right. So in the
Aranka came also to Prague with us.
So was the
But
three
from Prague?
Wait a minute. The three sisters, you and Rivchu and my mother.
Yeah.
And Arinka.
Yeah.
And her sister.
A sister all together.
We went
to Prague.
Went with this fellow.
I went with Prague.
Okay, went to Prague.
Went to Prague and we stayed in a different area,
Okay.
But he said from Prague we have to go to Pilsen. Okay. Right? That was the idea.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. So I said, "What I do now?" She said, "Listen, we go all." He had a suitcase. How? What he has? I have no idea. So he went to buy tickets for all of us. Supposed to go, all of us. And then he said he put down here the suitcase, and we should watch the suitcase, and he's going to buy tickets, and we're going to Persian.
Oh.
And our uncle said, okay, now you leave the suitcase and let's go.
Oh.
And we left, and that's it. Was never see him again.
Whew. Okay, so we're back. Yeah.
You know, people really got stronger because they had so much food. Every single day he brought food.
Uh-huh.
Every
So
single day.
how did it manage that he gave you extra?
He was working in the kitchen.
Oh, he's working in the kitchen.
Sure, he was one of the kitchen guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was in one of the kitchen. He also went through. I have no idea, and I wasn't interested too much to ask his story. So he was also like a halfling somewhere, you know.
So he just took a liking to you.
Probably whatever happened, I didn't even think of nothing.
So far in the story, this was the second guy.
Which one? Oh, the one
with the watch. He didn't want the watch. He wanted you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to stop now.
But that's not important, you know. That's really.
But it is important.
It's just an aside story that how we survived better. Otherwise, the food wasn't enough, what they gave us actually.
Oh no.
No. I mean, you got a portion.
Right.
You got a portion, and here you ate 12, 15 girls got food as much as they could eat.
Right.
So actually, she's a religious woman. So she said, "Listen, you're not missing. You're not doing anything, and you're not doing anything wrong. In order just to, because of you,
more people are
gaining the food."
So it's interesting that other story as well, where the guy gave you more food just because he.
I just like always something like I feel like. God was with me. From nowhere, always I got something to survive.
Right.
Nothing else I can think of, because I didn't know anybody.
Right.
And just wherever I was really in fire or in danger, then something happened for good. So I always thank Hashem that He was really good to me.
Tell me, just go back to the hospital. So if you say in a coma or asleep or whatever, what was my mother and
I have no idea. I was sleeping.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what's going on.
But they probably didn't move.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, they stayed there and they got better. I mean, they got taken care of. Right. But I have no idea what happened, because I was actually in worse condition than they are.
Wow.
And they were.
Right.
They were just undernourished or anything, but typhus is a very dangerous thing to go through. And I found it out just after, when I got better.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I did not know. The willpower and the energy that you put in because you want to survive is just unbelievable.
So at this point, the way the story goes, the three sisters were alive because they stayed together.
That's right.
But a little bit, you kept them together.
Yeah.
I mean, from my mother's stories were a little disjointed, but the way my mother spoke was she had probably given up.
Also, and Rich always telling me, Rich telling me, she always thanks me, And you remember that, Alex, when your mother passed away, what he said on the funeral? He said, "Thanks for Babi Helen that we had."
Babi Helen.
Yeah, he sent me.
Because I think the way my mother spoke was that she didn't have this. She lost this strong will to live, and they were very hungry.
She was very weak.
Very weak.
She was very weak.
She said that I think she said that they were I don't know even how many kilo they were.
I have no idea.
I don't know. But my mother, so without Helen pushing and supporting and willing, then my mother would have just given up and probably Rivka was 14 or 15.
14.
I mean, just think of somebody that's Batzka or a high school girl.
Yeah.
I mean, could go through such a thing.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
I mean, Rivka, when we got better in the hospital, she was 15 years old. Can't say it.
Yeah. Like just
no, from then that she wasn't nourished or anything. Her teeth fell out.
Oh yeah.
For a young girl.
Yeah. You see?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to stop a little bit now, and then we're going to continue on another day. Okay.